Name's Ian. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to our first podcast of the Expo on Excellence from CINY. Today we have on our first guest, Food and Finance high school graduate, 2023 regional champion, as well as the captain of the 2023 team. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Well, I just want to get right into it. So how did you get into culinary and start your journey? What made you so drawn to this field?
Okay, well, it starts back from when I was probably 4 or 5, honestly. Long story short, there was a time I saw my brother make eggs, and then I was like, yo, that look fire. Let me make some. And then after that, I was like, word, I like what I'm doing. I like it. And then I had a family friend that I considered my aunt living with us for about 5-6 years when I got a little, I think it was actually from 5 years old to 10. She stayed with us and she always cooked for everyone in the crib, and there was 4-6 kids in the crib. So long story short, she introduced me into cooking, and then I would go to my grandma's crib and see her cook a little bit, Ecuadorian dishes. And then I was like, yo, I think I could do this. And that was that, honestly.
So no professional culinary background, just a lot of home cook, a lot of interesting higher level home cuisine and stuff that interested you.
Yeah, it was a lot of just seeing my aunt cook, and then watching Food Network, and then Gordon Ramsay was such an inspiration to me when I was younger. And yeah, I just enjoyed my way of, I've never been good with talking or expressing myself, so I was like, here's a plate of food.
Do the food,
that was
right?
my way of, I love you. Literally.
How'd you get, so a lot of students in Monroe, they especially your higher end ones, a lot of that get into competition and stuff, they come from food and finance. How'd you get into that school or decide to go to that high school specifically?
So, when I was in middle school, I was trying to find auditions for MasterChef Junior, shows like that. But it was just really hard because I had no experience in actual culinary arts, classes and stuff like that. So I had auditioned once. I got into whatever rounds. But then I was telling one of my after-school counselors, and she was like, "Oh, hey, there's this culinary school that you should apply to, and it's the only culinary-based high school in New York City." Besides LIC, because that's just a little program that they have, but Food and Finance was...
It's a high school
exactly
dedicated to it.
So I was like, bet, I'll apply. And I did, but it wasn't my first choice because I wanted to pursue, performing arts and acting and all that. That was a big thing for me, but Food and Finance happened.
You still feel connected to that in a way? Are you dedicated to the food side? You're interested in both? You feel like there's one over the other?
Since I can remember, it depends on where I am in my life. So right now, I'm very much, cooking. So I feel more elevated, more closer to culinary. But once I leave this college, I'll probably feel more I gotta get back into my performing arts thing. It's definitely how I feel in the moment.
You feel like you could ever merge the two?
For a long time, I was told I couldn't, up until I was... probably a senior.
That's not good.
Yeah, up until I was probably a senior, I didn't realize how much the entertainment industry and the food industry is so connected in many ways. And that's when I was introduced to people in Food Network and Carla Hall and all these people, and I was like, oh, I could definitely do the two.
Yeah, and look at the explosion of popularity of shows like The Bear, and people are going crazy over it,
Yes.
right? It combines those two perfectly, right?
Yeah.
Let's get into the big one.
Okay.
The America's Best High School Chef Competition 2022. You were first place winner. How'd you get into doing that competition? What was your thoughts after, before? Did it ever really hit you? Were you ever oh my God, I won this big competition? Or it was just kind of it happened?
Okay, so the story with America's Best is, at the time, it was my senior year of high school. I was working at a restaurant in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. I was doing a bunch of competitions to gather as much scholarship money as I can. because my goal was to be out of my crib and to not be in debt. So it's like, so America's Best was not something that I wanted to do. It was something that Indio, one of our former members of the team, put me onto. We were working together at the Barclay Center. And he was like, hey, I'm doing this competition. Michaela's competing as well. I think you should do it, you know. And I was like, I was just burnt out by the end of my senior year. And he was like, but Sosa, you're so good. You should just do it. Like, it's, you know, free money and it's a good experience. And I said, I was very heavy on the, no, I don't want to do it. I was tired of cooking already. At that point of my life, I was over it. I didn't want to go to culinary school. I didn't want to work in any kitchens. I just wanted to do something else. Like, I was just over with it. And so it took me about 2 or 3 weeks, and he kept pushing it. And then he was like, he asked me one more time while we were in the middle of making empanadas at work. And I was like, fine. I budged, and I said, fine, I'll do it. And he said, yeah, and who knows, you might actually win, you know? And I said, fine. So my mentality going into America's Best was, all right, I'm going to do it for fun. That'll be the last competition I'll ever do for my high school career, and like I'll just see what's up. But then I got a little more serious because I take things seriously and I'm very competitive. And I started training and whatever. And then when I won, I still was contemplating if I even wanted to go to the school. And it never hit me. When my mom was crying, like, oh, you're finally leaving, you know, you got a full ride. Like, I was like, oh, yeah. So that's when I was like, okay. But it wasn't until a few weeks later, I think maybe before school started, or I had to, like, actually decide, Dean texted me. I forgot what he said, but he was just like, oh, will you be coming to school? I don't remember. It was something like that. It was Kat and him constantly, like, you know, and
pushing you, nudging you in the right
a
direction.
little bit. And I was like, okay, if I'm gonna do something, I gotta do it to the fullest. I gotta put 110% all the time. And so I was like, let me have these 2 weeks to just rejuvenate a little bit, and then and I did. I remember sending him this really long ass paragraph. I was like, I'm gonna go to school, you know, I'll be in your team, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
But I'm gonna do it for you. Like, but I was so burnt out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel it.
That was that.
Yeah. It's actually funny. The winner the year before you, Kaylin Figueroa, who was my teammate, actually had a very similar story. So I thought you'd find it interesting how she was like, I don't even want to do this. Like, that was the online for COVID. That was that competition. So it was her and Thomas and a couple others, and she actually won. And when she joined the meeting for like deciding the winners, she was like, there's no way. And she joined and she just threw some clothes on and like joined the meeting, and then it was like, you won, right? So that was like big shocking for her. So it's kind of funny how those two stories kind of share some similarities, definitely. But you also won an Italy trip before you came here from
How you know
Food and
about
Finance High School, because you told me.
I told you?
Yes.
I don't even remember. My memory is shot. I'll be real with you. Yeah, so that same year, or the same was it? I think it was in the same month, actually, that I did.
It's around Food. It's around.
It was in March, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that same month. I think I was only 2 weeks apart from each competition that I had competed for the Cola Vita competition. So I won $2,000 in scholarships, and I won a free trip to Italy for 5 days. That was something. That was the main reason why I also didn't want to do another competition, because that took so much of my time, like hours and hours of my time. But yeah.
That was a lamb competition?
No, so it was basically you had to create a dish with Cola Vita ingredients. You had to use tomatoes, Cola Vita basil, Cola Vita olive oil, and Cola Vita balsamic vinegar. And you had to create a dish with that. And it was like a duo. So I was with one of my food and finance acquaintances. Her name is Sophia. And we were I think we spent about, it was like a what's the word? Like 3-step process, I guess. 3 rounds. There was 3 rounds. You had to write an essay, then you had to like develop a dish and a recipe.
Okay, you had to submit the dish and they had to like approve it before you actually. So you had two steps that they had to approve, almost like getting cut for like a sports team or something like that.
Yes, so many people got cut. And the recipe development process was such a pain in the ass because they made us like, they set us up with actual recipe developers. Like, they wanted professional.
Oh,
Yeah.
and
It
you
was,
were probably like, I just want to do this. Let me
yeah.
do this, right? And then they were like, no, don't do that. And you were trying to like, nah, let's do this.
The recipe that I had first submitted ended up being very, very like, I guess you could say, not different, but just a lot of things were changed, and it had to be like down to the T, and that can be so annoying.
You were like they really wanted like a like almost like a standardized recipe like we do like we have here, but
They wanted
you were kind of just like this is how I would do it if I was making it, but they want you to even break that down even further.
Yeah, and thank God, hallelujah. I had done the competition the year prior as well, and I lost. But you get a mentor at the final round, and my mentor happened to be my boss at the time. So from the previous year, when he was training me, I was like, "Are you guys hiring?" And then he hired me. So a year later, I was still there, and then I made it to the final round again the year that I won, and I got assigned with him, and so it was easier because he was there and I was always at work as well, and so we were always just talking, and everyone in like my team at school and my team at work, like coworkers and everyone, all the chefs, they were like just helping me and all that. So it was definitely easier as far as support and ideas, but it was still difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you had a major problem with your protein, if I'm not mistaken. I believe you worked with frozen protein.
Yes, there's a story to that. So we made herb crusted lamb chops with eggplant agrodolce, mint yogurt, and then on the side was
I knew it was lamb.
Yeah, it was lamb. And on the side was a creamy polenta. No, I'm lying. It wasn't creamy polenta. It was
Out of the gun.
yes. Oh, that took me like
A long
4
time to
weeks.
do, right?
That was, what did we call it? We called it polenta in the style of creme brulee. So my protein, when we're traveling with food and all that, there's the danger zone issue. Like it's
Yeah,
very tedious.
100%. We get that really nailed into us, like danger zone, and the rule is technically 4 hours, but if that's 15 minutes, you'll have a teacher tell you like that's got to go in the fridge, that's got to go. So 100%, and competitions knock you on that, especially depending on the competition. But ACF will knock you on that. Golovito probably did too.
Right. So, it was just the protein was out for too long, and I was concerned because, like, it's protein.
Yeah.
So when we got to the school, I had put it in the fridge, and the year before, the fridge was on the right side. And, basically, they had switched the fridge and the freezer. So the fridge was on the left side and the freezer was on the right. And then one of my other competitors had put her ice cream in the fridge, thinking it was the freezer. And so by the time I took it out and we were competing, the internal temperature was just too cold. And I was like, like in the middle of my, comp, I was just like, why isn't it cooking? It's still raw. Like, I'm touching it. Like, what's his name? One of the judges, I forgot his name.
He looked at it like, there's no way you'll be able to get this done, right?
He was pressing me. I'm like, I'll figure it out. Like, I figured it out.
And
but
you figured it out?
It was edible. It was edible. That was it. It was edible. Anything below edible, it looked so raw, but it wasn't. But, oh my gosh.
That's my motto. I'll figure it out.
I'll figure it out.
Figure it out, right?
I threw that hoe into the oven, bro. It was like, I blasted the oven. I couldn't. Because I had like, 4 minutes left. That every time I think back to it, I stress out. I swear,
Thinking about
bro.
it.
Every time.
Right?
Every time.
I mean, how was the Italy trip? I mean, obviously you went. What was any big takeaways from that?
Italy, we did so much. We went to a town called Termoli. That was amazing. It's basically just like the beach and then a bunch of grandma-looking Cuban houses. That was so beautiful. And they start their days late, and I love to start my days late. But when I was over there, I didn't sleep at all.
Yeah, they sleep in, grab the espresso, the cappuccino.
Right. So we went there. Then we went to the mountains. We did a cheese class, like a cheese making class.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did cheese making class up there, how to make like milk and stuff. We went to a vineyard. We had a wine tasting class. Ooh, that was. We went to all the best restaurants. We went to Rome. We went to the Colosseum.
That's
we
awesome.
did so much stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, when I went to Calabria in Italy, it's like totally different. It's just the quality of the ingredients as well. Like the buffalo mozzarella, like it's that kind of stuff is just you can't get anything like it here. Even the things like the tomatoes that you're going around
Yeah.
San Marzano here, not even close to the quality of the San Marzano you'll get in Italy, just because of the soil and the air and everything like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's skip forward a little bit into CINY and the competition team. How'd you get? I know you were a little hesitant at first to join the team. You weren't sure if you were going to come to tryouts and that whole thing. And
Okay. You want to know about the team, like what my hesitation was?
yeah, and also like I'm assuming you kind of came here like the scholarship was obviously a big proponent of that and coming here as well as like just like the pressure of choosing a college. This seemed like pretty much a no-brainer option, I would presume.
So with that was if every time I think about that I get type 2 every single time. Okay. So I applied to like 21, 22 schools. I auditioned to schools, everything. And I only got accepted to 2 what is it called? Like
CUNY or SUNY?
is it called CUNY?
SUNY would be state schools, CUNY would be city schools.
No, I mean like schools that are around you, like the ones you would like get into because it's just like a, you know what I'm talking about? No,
I don't know.
Like,
I would think CUNY, like city schools.
I guess city. Or
Yeah, it'd be like a city school,
Yeah, I
like
guess
schools
it
in the
would be.
area.
But yeah, so I got into 2 CUNY schools and then Monroe, and like my goal was to go to the West Coast for college. I didn't want to be in New York, like what? But so it was like, okay, now I really don't have a choice.
Yeah.
It was more of like it was meant to be, and I'm very, very heavy on the things happen for a reason. As much as you don't like in the moment.
Yeah.
It was just this was my calling, I guess.
The other 2 schools, they were culinary, they were acting. What were they?
They were
just
regular basic schools.
Regular schools.
The most regular basic like
What would you have majored?
business.
Happy with your choice so far?
You know what? Yeah, I guess so. I'm not complaining. I mean, I could complain.
You could complain.
But why not?
I think everyone in the culinary industry could complain at least a little bit about where they're at, right?
But it humbles you, I guess.
Yeah, it definitely humbles you.
No, it's very
Some
humbling.
people may be the opposite, but remains to be seen.
They need to tone it down. Anyways, that's none of my business.
Yeah, but the push to join the team, was that Dean? Was that you pushing yourself, family, the people around you? You saw maybe all my food and finance people, they're all competing, except for a couple, maybe
Right.
I got to do it now, right?
Okay, so I'm not much of a person that gets influenced by people or things. So as far as the whole food and finance thing, food and finance is, people do what they want. People be like, I'm like, word. My family, it wasn't much of a thing, because they don't really understand it. Like
The culinary aspect?
yeah, because like my mom, she doesn't like cooking. She hates cooking.
Yeah.
She's not good at it.
A lot of people hate cooking.
Exactly. So it's like, do it if you want, But they were always supportive of whatever I wanted to do. And then I think what it was for me was Kat had sent me a screenshot of a message between her and Dean, and it was my next team captain ? And I was like,
Well, now, gotta do it, right?
that's how I felt when she sent me that. I was like, maybe I should do it. And then the way like he was with me at America's Best, like talking to me, is like, oh, I know, about the whole performing thing, and then the whole culinary. Like I'm the same way. I was like, you know what?
Dean said that?
Yeah, he had like
Well,
a
I mean,
whole conversation.
I mean, he does music, he does woodworking, he does
Yeah.
culinary, he does gardening, he does all these things. That's why I was talking about before, like you can mend bridges, right? You can
Right.
find ways to do all of the different things that you love at the same time. Your job doesn't have to, like completely absorb every single thing that you love. Like for me, I love culinary, but I love writing. I love media. I love journalism and history as well.
Right.
And also helping people is a big thing for me. If I can find a job that hits on as many of those as possible, that also gives me the luxury of the free time to pursue the other ones that the job doesn't quite fill. I think that should be everyone's main goal.
Right.
I don't think you could ever, especially people who like a lot of different things, or things that are very different from each other, like you, or some might say you with acting and culinary. You just have to find something that affords you the most that you can and also gets you like to a place where you can also afford to do the other things that you really like doing.
Right.
I think that's the best thing to do. But I mean, so you joined the team, you know, it was just, you know, a team of this many people. It wasn't exactly like you weren't named captain initially exactly or anything like that, or you didn't start training for regionals, which happened in March, but you were given a dish for December, a trio of Cornish hen, if I'm not mistaken, and tell me how that went.
Okay, so before I answer that, you had said something previously about me being iffy about joining the team or tryouts. Yeah, I'm gonna make it clear right now. I'm gonna make it real clear for everyone listening. Okay, your girl, Melina. She's very stubborn. So I was set on the still like, okay, do I want to do it? I was already in school. I was already in dorms. But I was like, do I really want to compete? Do I want to try out? I think it wasn't until the night before is when I decided. Like, you had to do a whole like fill out application and all that. I didn't do none of that because I was still like, And you kept talking to me. Thomas kept talking to me. Everyone was talking to me, saying like, you should do it. Like, you should at least come and try it out, check it out. I was like, sure. But I showed up, and
You
here
showed
we
up?
are.
And here we are, right?
Yeah. But so the trio.
December comp.
Yeah, December. What did I do? I did
Trio of Cornish hen.
Trio of Cornish hen.
How could you forget? It made such a big impact.
I guess.
What do you mean you guess? Best of show, not only for a hot dish for a student, but overall at the show. Some of the judges consider giving you a perfect 100 out of 100.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, it's true.
Why are you lying?
I'm not lying to you. You can ask Dean.
Damn, no one tells me this stuff.
If we could have people call in, I would call him in right now, but we can't. But
Wait.
it is true. Yeah, some of the judges considered doing it. Some of the other judges were like, all right, perfect. That's not even like a thing. But it
Right.
was like, the idea was that this girl executed, I don't know what this girl could have done better than how she did. And like, they wanted to almost make you as the example of like, this is how you need to cook. This is the type of dish you need to make. This is how you need to work. I mean, it was like 98s across the board. I mean, it was on time, hot food, delicious food, and you worked beautifully. I mean, perfect kitchen score. So it was like you made an impact, you know. And I don't know if you realize that, but you really did. And anyone who sees you work, especially then, it's like it instantly clicks with you. Like, oh wow, this person really knows what they're doing. Like, this person's on another level. That's how it can feel sometimes. Watching people like you, watching people like Vanessa, really in their zone. It's like wow. It's like I didn't know you could be this good. I didn't know you could work this efficient. So, with that in mind, look back at your performance in December and tell me, like, how'd you feel going into the competition? How'd you feel afterwards when you got not only a gold medal, but the best of show that you did? I mean, did you feel deserving? Did you feel like it meant something?
Damn, I didn't even know all of that. That's crazy. Thinking back on it, I'm not much of a person where things hit me, or it doesn't hit me till
Later.
but like way later. And in December, it was more of like me going into it. Okay, here's the backstory. So the last practice, I had tried. My goal going into that practice was, all right, I'm gonna see what's the fastest time I can do and get this dish done. Like that was my mentality. So how long do we have to make a dish? I don't remember.
You have 10 minutes set up, our cook window, and then 10-minute plating, or 15-minute setup, depending on what category we did. But the category you did is the hour cooking time allotted.
So I didn't know that you can't finish early.
Yes.
I'm very much.
You had that issue at practice.
Yeah, because going into the last practice, I was like, all right, let's see how fast I can get it done. So I got it done in like 30-something minutes. And that was like, I got ripped for that. And I was like, I don't understand. Like, it's just because every practice was just the same. It was the same. And I'm a person where if I don't get like feedback or, something, because there's always something you can like nitpick. It doesn't matter how good you are or think you are. There's something you can always do better at. And that's why I was like, okay, let me see what I can do. So going into December comp, I was just, do what I normally do. It was like, all right, if I'm gonna be very, very honest, I was like, I'm gonna drag out the time. I'm gonna see how much I can drag it out. Because it was just like it's too much time for me. I'm a very fast-paced person. I had just gotten out of a few months ago from working at a place where
It was like speed is almost everything.
yeah, 300 covers every night. Like it was, so I'm like, I'm gonna drag it out. And that was literally just the whole thing for me. I didn't want to, I was trying to be like tedious with it and like, be effortless, I guess. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, Shorty talks to herself before she cooks and I talk to my food while I'm cooking. But yeah, that was really just it. My mental space in there was just, I don't know, I don't really think when I cook. I just kind of
do it.
Yeah, that's
Right.
it. Like you can talk to me, and this has happened many times. People think that I'm ignoring them, or I'm just like being a bitch, and I'm not.
You zone them out.
I literally zone them out, and I don't do it on purpose. Like I could just be, making a salad, and someone could be talking to me, and I'm just like making the salad, but it's just not on purpose. It's just.
I think that's a testament to your talent.
I don't know.
I think it is.
People
the fact that
say-
you're able to focus so heavily on something, most people's problems is that they can't focus enough.
People say it's talent, but I say it's a lot of hard work. Like people.
Dedication.
Yeah, people say to me, "Oh, you're so lucky because I win this and win that, or I'm good
Lucky.
at this or good." Exactly. I'm like, that's not luck, babes. That is not
That's
luck.
hard work. That's years in the industry. That's years practicing. That's all of that,
Yeah. It's a whole lot of hard work for a little bit of luck, and that's what I live by.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
So fittingly enough, right? You had the text from your old mentor, Kat, and as well as the whole Dean thing about being captain. You get best of show, right?
Got best of show.
And then you named captain, right?
Yeah. My timeline right now is a little off. That was the practice right after that.
About
Yeah.
because we had a little bit of a break for Christmas after the comp, basically, and then you pretty much from when you got back in January, it was like Melina's captain now, so let's go. So how'd you feel about being named captain? Even though I think you expected it, there's a lot of people talking like, oh, it's Melina, right?
People always talk.
People always talk, but it was. I mean, you made such an impact. How it was almost like this option was screaming Dean in the face.
Well, such an impact. I don't see it like that. That's the thing. People think that I know that I'm good or like, she's the shit. She knows she's. No, I beat myself up so much. Like, so much. It's ridiculous. And I'm so hard on myself. That's why, like, we'll talk about it later, but it'll add on to you already know. But that's why it's like, I try to do the best that I can because even my absolute best is not good enough for me. And I know some people can agree with it, some people cannot. So going into the whole, maybe I expected it. I mean, it was definitely a thought, like more than like, more yes
The
than no.
captainship. Well, it's more of like, how could you blame, right? Because everyone around you telling you it, right? And the results are screaming at everyone's face, right? That's how I feel about it.
The thing is,
You can't just deny just to seem humble. That doesn't really make any sense.
it's not about that. Is that a person or a captain or a leader should be someone that, you could be the most skilled in the room, but that doesn't
It's
mean...
not about that.
It's not about that.
Especially, in my opinion, in my experience, especially when it comes to coordinate team,
It's not about
has nothing to do about that. And it's not even about who has the most, like, captain abilities. It's about what does this team of people need?
Right.
What can bridge them? What can make them a team? And I think that's the most important thing when creating a captain. I don't think it needs to be like, oh, the most skilled. The whole point is that you work as one unit. So that's how it feels to me. But I mean, but there is also a testament to skill, but also taking pride and working. And obviously, you didn't get a 98 by doing nothing. You got a 98 by practicing. You got a 98 by working hard. You got a 98 because you had the experience to do all that, and you keep calm under pressure. So, or at least on the outside, it seems like maybe on the inside you're not, but it seems like that.
Word.
But I mean, you captain, and then we went into regionals training camp. Not too long for regionals training camp. End of January or January, February, and then March. It's like boom, March 10th through 13th. You're at regionals and you're competing. Do you feel like that training camp? Think that was, especially now that you've gone through nationals training camp. I mean, practice is over. You're competing a week from yesterday A week
What's
from today?
Today's Tuesday, Monday?
Yeah, today's Tuesday.
Oh yeah, a week from yesterday.
Yeah, less than a week. Like,
6 days?
how do you feel like the juxtaposition of both training camps, like how those compare to each other?
It's funny you say that regionals training camp wasn't long, because for me, I
Felt long.
Ew, it dragged for so long, for me at least. It was just such a roller coaster. It was a lot of, I don't know what I'm doing. Not everyone, was a big fan of me. I didn't have problems with people, but people just didn't like my approach on certain things. And I tried to approach, being captain and approaching
Multiple different ways.
yeah, very like so many different ways, and none of it seemed to work. And so that was very, very frustrating for me. And I felt like I couldn't satisfy everyone or just anyone in that kitchen, whether it's instructors or students or team members or not. And that was so, and still is, it's very heavy for me still. But I just don't say anything, because why would I?
Mm-hmm.
Like, for me to seem like I'm, crying wolf, or like trying to seem like a victim. Like, no, that's not what it is. I decided to be captain and, do my best to lead people, but it's a very, what's the word? We're all very different people, and that could
Yes.
either work or not work.
Yeah, especially for me, there was 5 including me. For you, there's 9 including you. That's a
Right.
lot of people,
a lot.
and they're all freshmen. You think that just adds different layers?
Being freshman, yeah, I think it's like an extra, like,
Yeah.
like an extra layer of whipped cream or something, because we're all new to this. We're all learning. What? What?
No, nothing.
Well, because I said whipped cream.
It was just an interesting metaphor.
I don't know. I was thinking of hot chocolate right now. Instead of cherry on top. Yeah, like you swirl the whipped
No, I get it. It's not that I didn't get it.
But I'm sorry. I don't know. I think I'm just hungry right now. But yeah,
But it adds the harshness of the dynamic.
yeah, because
Definitely.
we're all new to this. We're all young, fresh out of high school. It's really hard. And looking from an outsider's perspective, it's difficult to have a team that's on the same level of, I guess, age. You're all new to this, but you have to follow or have a leader. I don't see it that way, but you have to have a leader. But we're all the same. It's just it's difficult. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course. I'm gonna say something that might feel weird to you. You graduated high school a year from last month. Does that sound weird to kind of think about? Is that weird to think about? That it was that, I don't know, long ago, or that soon ago? I mean, so much has probably felt like it's happened since. I could imagine. I mean, for me, that's how I think about it. But it's like fast and slow at the same time.
Yeah. So, that's funny you say that. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, dang, it really was just last year, like a full year ago.
Yeah.
A full year ago, but it's also like, that was fast. Because when you're in high school, school is different. It's like, 9 months straight or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, you just get the summer off.
Exactly.
But with this, it's like you're gonna get a stop-start. But with our trimesters, it gets even kind of weirder because we have like 2 weeks off and then you're back in another whole semester.
Yeah.
So that's how it works for us. But
And so it's felt like, oh my gosh, I'm going into my 4th semester. That's what it is, right? Fourth semester. That's crazy to me.
yeah,
That is crazy.
at the end of
to me.
4, you're halfway done.
Exactly.
Yep.
So
That's your last till your associate's degree.
I see it as my life has changed so much. It's like such a different life than I lived a year ago from, today. So I'm like, damn. Yeah, but that's literally how I see it. It's like, whoa. It was so quick, but a year's a long time, but it's not.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I always think about it, the days feel long, but the years feel short, kind of deal.
They
But
drag.
yeah,
They drag.
they drag. But then it's like, oh, that was last week? Oh,
Yeah, bro.
But every second can kind of feel. So obviously, Nationals is next week,
Oh, really?
but
I've been
right?
forgetting you. I swear, I've
yeah,
been forgetting.
it's you won't even realize it until you're leaving. Trust me.
No, right. After everything.
Yeah,
Win
right.
or lose. Like,
But obviously, if you're going to Nationals, you had to got top 4 at regionals, and not only that, but it was comfortably first place with 87 silver medal, I believe.
I wouldn't know. I should know. I'm not
But
going
you definitely
numbers.
know one thing. You
What?
definitely know that it
What do
was
I
a silver.
Yeah.
And there was definitely some feeling.
Silver. Alright.
There's
But they're
definitely
all
s-
from gold.
Exactly. There was definitely a certain feeling that you had afterwards. You know, you felt weird about putting on the medal.
Did I?
Yes, you did. If you, in case you forgot, you did.
Oh.
But I mean, there was a little animosity there. Why do
Animosity?
do you still feel like angst, like upsetness towards it? Do you still feel that way? Do you think it's just in the moment you're beating yourself up? How'd you feel then? How do you feel reflecting back on that?
Damn, how did I feel then? I was feeling a lot.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so the whole medal thing, I know that was such a thing for everyone. I was like, whatever. But, so, okay, let me clear up the medal situation, okay? So what had happened was,
Big controversy.
I'm going to clear it up for everyone, okay? I'm the person that lived it. And I'm not here to, I'm, like, defend myself. I'm going to tell it as it is, and I admit.
You're not on trial, I'll tell you that. I'm asking. I think it
feels like it.
Listen, you're not on trial.
But no, yeah, like I take full responsibility of my wrongdoings. Like that's one thing I'm very.
Yeah.
But I was sitting down next to Dean. We were seeing all the chefs and the judges, whatever. They were taking out the medals in front of us, and then Dean goes, "No gold." When I saw that, bro.
Do you realize that that's not him saying, in my mind, that's not him saying, oh, they didn't get a gold medal. It's, oh, the judges didn't give us a gold medal? What the hell is that? That's, I think, what it is. Like, if you go back last year, it's arguable. My team did a pretty good job. It could have gold medal material. Some might say, I would say, perhaps yes.
Bias,
but it was a middle bias. It could be, could not be. All I know is it was actually tastes good. That's what I know, right?
Right.
So, and I know what second place looked like, and if that's a 80, if that's a 78, 82, I don't remember. Their second place irrelevant. But if that's what that was, and then ours was what ours was, it's like, how could it not be? It felt like they were a little harsh, but it felt like that with you guys as well. I mean, in my opinion, if we're going for out of a 40 score, that deserves 40 out of 40. There's nothing wrong there. Appetizer, close, if not on that money. Salad, maybe a couple points off. Entree, struggled a little bit, but even then.
That's what I get for burning the tomato jam. We don't talk about that, though.
What?
I obliterated the tomato jam. Oh.
You know who cleaned the pot for that?
Was it you?
It was me.
Oh.
It was me. Respect.
I appreciate that, yo.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. But, oh yeah, so what were we talking about? Oh yeah, how I felt. So when he said that, my whole demeanor changed.
Yeah.
Like, you go
felt
from...
horrible.
Yeah. Because,
It's
like...
natural. I would have felt the same way.
But
that's not what he meant, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Of course.
In the moment, like, after being anxious for so long and, like...
No sleep, anxiety, adrenaline. All that stuff's pumping like you've never seen
Hard
before.
work.
The travel, the hard work, the culmination of everything. And then you get the result, and it's almost perfect. And it's almost perfect. It's first place, but, could have been a gold, right? Could have been a gold.
Yeah. So with me we have our goals as a team. Was to win. That was our
Of course. And it should,
and
as it should be.
We won.
And you won.
And I'm so proud of everyone. I seriously am. Like, I mean that sincerely.
And yourself?
No, at everyone. I'm proud
I'm asking you.
What?
And yourself?
Yeah. Sure.
Liar.
But, like, I don't lie. I'm not a liar. Many things. Not a liar.
You say yes with the implication of no.
So, we'll get back to that.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I was just like, my demeanor changed. I was like, damn. So everyone has their own personal goals with things. Mm-hmm. And we had a team goal and, school goal. But I had my personal goal. And it was, Dean was just...
110 out of 100.
Always. But, like, even when my 110 might be, like, 80% that day, it's just, your best is different every
score.
day.
What your goal to get was 110 score.
No. That's not even possible.
That's what I'm saying.
I
Your
know,
goals
I know,
of yourself
I know,
are
I know.
impossible.
No, that's not true. My thing was, I see like how much, at least in the beginning, how much Dean was very much like very.
Like high on your team.
Yeah, and he believed in us, and you know he had, and still does, hope and all that, and he was very excited, especially you know, and so I was like, I really, really want to bring home a gold for him. You know, that was my whole thing. And for the team, you know, but at first it was, you know, for Dean. It's like, I really, like, he deserves it. And that was my whole mentality. Like, I just really want to do this for him. And then we got a sword. We still won, and I'm so happy for the team and for everyone. But I really, really wanted to bring him a gold. And that was the whole thing. And so that's what I felt a way about. And, like, I know where we messed up. The tomato jam was a big thing. That was a big thing. Oh, I should have hit it.
I think not putting butter in with chicken breast as well.
You know, I don't know why people keep saying that. We did put butter.
I don't recall. I was watching. I don't recall seeing that. I don't in the vacuum seal bag. I don't recall seeing any.
So
if there was, that's interesting. Just because of the texture of the meat sounded like there wasn't enough, or at least enough fat.
Right.
To maybe there was some, but maybe there could have been more. I don't know. Maybe something else happened there. I also know the sauce. The green sauce. I don't remember exactly what that was called, but I know someone said it tasted just like a little funny, like something happened there. But those were the things that I remember. I believe the bounty might have been a little over because they said it was a little like.
Yeah, the
texture.
force meat. Yeah.
Force meat was a little over.
So, I know for a fact the butter was in it because.
Okay. Well, because you put it there.
Well, no, I'm going to tell you that the thing is, it takes me time because I'm doing other things and I have to stop what I'm doing to put on gloves.
You have to do everything.
Yeah, and so I have to stop what I'm doing and actually mix the herbe de Provence with the butter and like I have to like in there and then slather that into the breast, and that's why I know it was in there.
It's nothing.
You know, it's the kitchen talk, but like it could also relate to life.
No, our editor's making some funny faces. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Our editor's making some funny faces.
But that's how I know that the butter was in there.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. Like the texture's always been weird from sous vide machine.
Yeah, right. A little
it's
weird.
Chicken skin, but but
you
we
took the
take
skin
chicken...
off.
Yeah.
You took the skin off.
No,
It was there in the first couple practices.
Right,
Everyone was like,
right.
"Why is the skin on?" And then came off, right?
And I also know we had problems. Well, not problems, but there was a little bit of bickering at the plating window.
As there always is in a plating window.
Except for nationals practice, there's no bickering.
Yeah, there's probably no talking either. But
we don't talk.
No, I don't. I haven't been. I've been to a couple practices. I don't recall.
What have you heard?
Huh?
What have you heard?
About?
You said we don't talk either.
It was a joke.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know if
I don't know. I don't know. I just
you guys seem to just communicate like very not like exactly how much you need to. I would say you don't communicate like you never go overboard with it, but you're never under. Like you're pretty much where you need to be with communication. If something needs to be said, someone says it. If not, nobody says it, and that's not. That's not bad. It's good. That's what I've noticed of watching you guys practice. But there's definitely there's a confidence in all of you that wasn't there at regionals. That's how I feel,
Yes.
and I think you see that too. Do you think it's just lineup changes? I know, like, I believe you're fabricating as well as Michaela, where usually it's not.
Yeah.
So usually there's a fabrication specialist, but this time I believe you're on fish and Michaela's on rabbit. So it's like a little different. Do you think things like that help? Jaylene on knife cuts. Do you think those things play a major role? Or you think it's regionals or a combination?
I think it's definitely both. And also, you know, other things that I can't even think of right now because Dean does things for a reason, and
Always.
He knows what he's doing. I respect that man so much. Like things that you wouldn't even think of. Like he's
thinking ahead like months. I remember the other week he told me, he's like, I want you to do something with Patashu, and I'm like, that's really specific. Why? He's like, just do it. And I'm like, I'm thinking already. I'm like, he got something. Like he's plotting something, you know. Like 6 months down the line, he'll be like, yeah, I do this. You have a dish, Patashu. I'm like, this is where it came from, you know. Sometimes it can feel like that. Like Michaela got a rabbit dish in for, what was that? That was Michigan. She got the rabbit dish for Michigan, which was in April. And it's like, oh, nationals. Guess what? Guess who's fabricating the rabbit? Oh, it's Michaela. Pretty much doing like a very similar concept to what she did as well. So it's that thinking ahead and that kind of that mentality of his is honestly why I consider him not only like possibly the best chef, but just like a genius, like literally a culinary genius. Like the ideas of like how he remixes stuff and all that, and his concepts. It's like out of nowhere, and it's like they come out spectacular. I mean, I could say it for an hour complimenting the guy, right? Yeah. But let's get into the yeah, right. Let's get into the road, right? Nationals. I mean, how do you feel? I know you don't even feel like it's happening, but it is happening. Yeah. You guys got to pack in a couple days. Big flight all the way down to New Orleans. Big competition.
How do I feel?
Got to go up against Joliet and AB Tech.
You know, that's so funny that you guys keep bringing up these schools and all these names.
You don't know.
I don't know any of them. I'd be like, word.
What does that say to them? I guess they didn't do well enough, right?
I don't know. I just don't really care about the other competitors. I worry about what we're doing.
What does Dean always say?
He says a lot.
Well, in regards to that, it's the only people who can beat Monroe is Monroe.
Right.
Always. And that's how it's supposed to be viewed.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like, because the idea for him is like, we have the concepts. It's not a question, we have the concepts. So are we going to be able to execute the concept?
Right.
If we execute it, it's a done deal. It's as simple as that, you know? But if one of the teams, if they come in, they have a better concept, better execution, but we did the best we could, he's like, then we won in my mind.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
for him, it's like, but he's like, I know, like, the concepts, the menus, like, we have that potential. The way he goes about and recruits students and recruits teams is to a T. He knows how to build teams. He knows how to put people together, and he knows what concepts to give them. He's doing it so long, and he's refined it over time.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I guess to bring it back, now that you guys are going, you got to compete, right? And this would be, you're defending, I guess, right? You're defending the national championship, which we won first last year. You know? You don't have to do that. I'm just saying.
No, you got to put it out there.
You got to put it out there.
Low key, though.
On the down low. On the down low. But we did win last year.
Yeah.
Do you feel a lot of pressure? Do you feel anxiety? Or do you weirdly feel none of it?
Okay. So, me personally, I don't really... I mean, I'll have, like, thoughts, like, glimpses or little moments where I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. We're competing, we're going. Yeah, like, whoa.
Oh.
But it's...
And then you're like, all right. Then you're like, all right, I guess I'm going to get dinner or whatever.
It's more of like, it's a split of a second kind of, like, moment, and it barely lasts. Like, I can't process it. Yeah. And right now, it's more of, like, I just have to worry about, what we have to do today, what we have to do tomorrow, so we can actually go over there, Like, right now, I'm not thinking about competing. I'm thinking about, this is what needs to get done. Like, let's go. What else do I have to do?
I think it's a chef mentality. Perhaps maybe it's like, you have so much restaurant experience as well, or at least a lot for your age. You just worked in a lot of restaurants, high covers, high fast pace. So you think that's kind of the mindset that you just have of like, what am I doing right now? Like, what is right now? And you like live in the moment kind of thing. I think a lot of chefs have that, but I think you in particular very much have that. I want to know your thoughts on that.
I never thought of it that way. I was definitely conditioned to be like, okay, you got to focus on what you're doing now so you can set yourself up for later. You got to set yourself up for success. Like, there's just always something that needs to be done. And you can't, get to the end or get to the product without the process or ordering a product, mise en place. And this is mise en place for the competition. So, thanks, Dean. He showed us the movie. But yeah.
Which movie?
Mise en place.
Mise en place. Yeah. Well, we watched the Boku's Door movie. I forget the exact name of it, but we watched a different one last year about someone's journey to Boku's Door.
Word.
What was your favorite dish you made for a competition?
Overall, and like my life?
Overall, including ACF and before.
Favorite? It was definitely the lamb chops one for Colavita, but that was because it was very personal to me.
You concepted it.
Yes, and it took me so long to do it, like hours at home, at school, at work. I was in the gym thinking about that dish, like. No, that ass. Like,
of course, I believe you. Yeah.
That's why it was very, that will always be like my favorite dish. You know, people ask me, all right, what's your favorite dish? Lamb chops.
Was that, if my ass, was that your first competition that you did, or you did some? Yeah, I should have figured, right?
No, definitely not. I was a senior.
Whoa, slow down. Right?
And it's also very like personal to me, and it hits home because when I had auditioned, well, I don't tell people this, but when I had auditioned for MasterChef Junior, I was like 9 or something like that, or 8. I can't
Comfort, you're about to tell a lot of people, so.
We'll see. But
well, all right, have a little faith.
I get. You know what? You're right.
We'll have a little faith.
No, I have a lot of faith. High hope.
It's gonna get 10 million views, guaranteed.
Amen. No, but when I had auditioned for MasterChef Junior, I was preparing for it, and my thing was lamb chops, and it was just, I don't know why. I felt like it was, you know, I saw a lot of Gordon Ramsay and lamb chops, and it was like, get the lamb.
Yeah, he does a lot of lamb. He does a lot of lamb. I'll say that.
Yeah, and so my very first competition that, you know, because auditioning, you're essentially competing against hundreds of other kids for a spot. Not that I won, but like, I mean, it's the second round, whatever. But it was lamb chops, and, you know, I was a baby at the time. I was a baby cook. And then, you know, I won a whole free trip to Italy with, you know, a lamb chop dish. So it's like, oh my gosh. So yeah, definitely that one.
And also, you think it's like the eureka moment of like, oh my God, the thing I came up with, like, it worked. It finally worked, and it's like awesome. And like, I came up with it, and it was just kind of mine, like what you had with the polenta and the herb crusted lamb chop and all that. You think it was just like part of it's also just like, oh my God, like I really concept this myself, and it came out. Is that the first time you had something like major like that, where it's like, this was all me, and I came up with it from scratch, and it worked? And it was like such a long process to get to that too, where you were trying all these different things, different nozzles, all this different stuff, different temperatures, different amounts of cheese and ratios of all this polentas, because you can have so many, polenta could be so many different consistencies depending on just its ratios and all that. Do you think it was like partly that of like finally like almost like this chemistry like science of trying to get this to manipulate it the way you want, and then you're finally like, oh my God, it actually happened? Like, you think that's a big part of it as well for why you feel so close to that dish, where it's like you kind of had like a eureka moment?
Yes and no. You see, you're asking questions and like things that I've never really thought much about or seen it in that way. Because throughout that whole process, I was asking a lot of questions, like from my mentor and chefs and stuff, and they would give me, you know, ideas and all that. And I took what I can and left what I felt like I didn't need, and just put as much work and effort and whatever I could, just my all into it. So it was definitely just like, I guess in a sense, yeah, that's what it was, but never to that extent. I don't think like personal achievements have ever been that, like, what's the word? What's not accomplished, but praised?
You don't pray like yourself for your own, like, is that what you kind of mean?
You know when people say to celebrate, that's the word.
Celebrate.
I don't think I've ever celebrated.
Your own.
I never see things that way. It's more like a word. I did it. Now, I'm very much, I did what I have to do. I put in the time and effort. I, you know, did the best that I could. That's the end of that. What's next? That's my mentality for things, at least.
I feel that. And it's like, kind of like, do you feel like almost if you try to celebrate it, it'd be like, you'd feel like a little ashamed of it a little bit, that you try to celebrate it? Or you get like too much? For me, it's like, if I try to celebrate something, that was something Dean always told me. He was like, you got to celebrate your accomplishments. You got to walk in there and be like, I won this championship. I'm me. I've done this. And I feel like when I try to do that, the few times I have, it's kind of backfired on me to where people are like, oh, look at him. Look at this like narcissistic guy coming and thinking he's all that. You know what I mean? And then I almost cower to the other side where I'm like, well, I'm shit. I'm garbage. Right? It's hard to find that balance between like appreciating your accomplishments, but also having that like, what's next? Let's go. Like, I did that. That's cool. What's the next thing?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, in a sense, yeah, that's like almost sitting home, but not quite. Because for me, I've never been much of a like celebrating my own successes person. That's never been. Ooh, I'm hungry. That's never been a thing for me. It's more of my stomach. Sorry, it's the coffee. It's where it builds my appetite. I haven't eaten all day actually. But anyways,
You gotta eat.
yeah, I will. But no, yeah. What was I saying? Before I got really interrupted.
I was talking about like how you go to one end so quickly of like celebrating, or like being the complete opposite where you don't celebrate your accomplishments at all.
Yes. So I've never been much of a person to celebrate my own successes or achievements. That's not a thing for me. It's more of like I did it. And so when I have lost in, other things, I used to play a lot of sports, you feel a way when you lose and everyone is, happy and all that, and I'm happy for you. But like you also feel a sense of like, damn, I suck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That could be me, but that's not me. And so
Yeah.
when you see people overdoing it, it makes you feel a way. And I've never wanted to be that kind of winner that makes people that aren't in my place, feel less than me. That's like my mentality in it. And I'm also very much of a, actions speak louder than words,
Yeah.
So
you prove it in the kitchen.
I guess. Yeah, I don't really talk that much.
In the kitchen?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But it's, people say things, and I just mean in general, people say things, they'll always feel a way. And so going back to what you were saying, you could win and you could, be all happy and jolly, and people will still say things about that. So you're better off just doing what you do and then keep it pushing. But that's me.
A little bit of food for thought. Just, again, you're not on trial here, right? But I'm just putting it out there, like, so some people would be like, oh, like, and you say, like, I get in the zone, like, I focus on my thing. But not only that, sometimes you come into this kitchen with a mentality and it's good, but it's like it's all business, and you very much show it, right? And you're like, and I know very much for you, it's like, oh, that's just like who I am.
Yeah.
Right? Do you think people can say that, and it's true, but there's always like, you are who you are now. You're not always going to be that person. Right. Do you think that's something that could change, or better, do you think it's something that maybe you should change at least a little bit in some way, to where you're like a little bit more, especially because every kitchen's a team. I know it's like kind of cliche, but it's true. It's 100% true. I mean, you have your captain, your manager, right? You have your blind cooks, all that, front of house, back of house, everything. But like, do you feel like that's something that you could or should like kind of grow into? You think you have because of this team journey a little bit?
This personal team journey?
Just a journey, like working in the last couple years, or especially couple months. Do you think you warmed up to that kind of like mentality?
No. I'm gonna be real with you. No. I've definitely changed in other aspects, I guess. I'm trying my best, because right now it's just, I'm in a place where we're at the end of a chapter. We're finishing up. It's been a long, long roller coaster. Good and bad, all of it. It's been a lot. So excuse my stomach growling if you hear it. So I definitely feel like I will, change, because I'm not who I was a month ago.
Yeah, right. And that's, for me, that's like my most important sign of growth. Like, if you are who you were a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, I feel like that's a problem, because it means you're not growing. That's how I've always seen it. So that you saying that, like, that's a very good sign to me.
But you'll always have like the foundation of who you are.
Of course.
Exactly. Yeah, being in this team has changed me in many ways. But I just don't think I'm who everyone expected me to be then and expects me to be now. I'm still trying to figure it out,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On a scale 1 through 10, flat out, 10 being most, 1 being least, confidence, nationals.
Oh, nationals?
Yup. And then you have to guess what you think mine is for you guys.
8.
You're 8? What do you think I am at?
9.
Yeah, 9, 10, probably. Very confident in you guys.
I'm really very, me too. And that's a good number. I appreciate that. Before y'all come at me for that 8, I'm just being real.
100%.
Very, very
I have
real.
an anecdote about that after you.
Okay. No, yeah, I'm just being real. Like, I have faith in my team. They've been amazing.
Really,
I
you
really,
guys
really
have
love
been
this.
incredible.
This team in the kitchen, especially being all females, I was very like, because females could either be really well
That's
together.
what. That's what people. That's what I'll just say. Like
No,
a
say
lot of
it.
people talk. People are like, oh, it's an all female thing. I'm like, you guys have no idea what you're talking about. I was like, men and female both have their ups and downs, like, in both sides. Like, just because it's a 5 female team doesn't mean they're all of a sudden going to start like knocking each other out.
No,
You
no,
get 2
yeah.
guys on a team and they already want to kill each other. I mean, we had 3 guys on our team, 2 girls, and I was at each other's throats with. I love them. We always made up after the fact. And we were
Yeah,
like
yeah,
brothers,
yeah.
but in the way when we were like brothers, we were like arguing like a decent amount of time. That pressure and all of that gets to you.
Definitely.
And you guys are like, especially the 5, very like, you think what you think, you go back, you're like, you pull your close friend aside, you're like, what's going on over here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you guys never like, especially with like the type of girls you girls are, like, you're never like outwardly gonna try to like start attacking people.
No.
I was never afraid to do that. If I felt a certain way about something, if I was like, Gio, you've done this with Lab 40 times, why did you do this time when you're not supposed to do that? And he would get upset, that happened. But my anecdote, going back to what you said about tempering expectations, so we had to wait, and you guys are going to have to wait, and it's going to kill you. So we competed on Monday. We had to wait till Thursday to get our results, right? So
We wait till Wednesday.
yeah, lucky, I'll tell you that. Well, you might compete on Sunday, but I have to get back on that. Probably Monday, though.
We were supposed to compete Sunday.
They mixed it up, probably. It happens. A lot of competitors, it always happens.
Yeah.
People sign up last minute. But I remember after our critique, Gia was like, it's done, clap it up, let's take home our national championships. I was like, hold on. I was like, let's calm down a little bit. I'm confident, but I'm not delirious. I'm not going to be like, oh my God, we won, and I'm 100% sure. I'm going to be like, it's always hope for the best, prepare for the worst kind of mentality for me. And that might go to my same thing with you, where it's like I don't celebrate it as much as some people might. I mean, I was the only one not crying when we won at nationals. Everyone else was bawling their eyes out. I was emotional, but it didn't get to me in that way. And I think that's part of it, because I'm like tampering my expectations. Well, Gio's the opposite, because he's very, very optimistic thinker. He's confident. And it was on a silver platter. I mean, we pretty much had it just based off our critique and some things that were said amongst the judges. Like, it was pretty much like when you're the only team delivering hot food, it's going to be kind of a walk in the park, right? But
Hot food, hot plate. Remember that, guys.
hot food, hot plate. Always hot food, hot plate.
Live your life through that. If you have to, put that plate in the oven 2 days before.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's just my little I always like to temper my expectations. So I have one final question. Your biggest mentor. Your biggest mentor. I know that's a hard question, but who's your biggest inspiration that you have in the culinary field? Don't say an actor.
As of right now? Or like just in general overall?
I mean, is there a difference?
I don't know. Your mentor, like biggest mentors can change. I feel like...
Or mentor is not the right word. Just your biggest inspiration in your personal life, not like a chef celebrity. Like, biggest inspiration in your personal life.
That's hard. I know that sounds like an easy question. Is that I try not to... I mean, I would say it's Dean. Because he's Dean.
Well, that's a good answer for me, right? Because I get it.
No, yeah, it has to be Dean, because I'm just thinking back to all like my other chefs and people that have been mentoring me for as long as I can remember, and I think right now it has to be him. And I only say now because I just met him like about a year ago.
Yeah, right. Doesn't feel like it, but
right, it doesn't. It feels like I've known him for so much like longer, and at least to me, and it hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows.
Of course.
And I'm very stubborn and challenging at times. Listen, I own up to it. I
You know
admit
he's
it.
coached me before, right?
Huh?
You know he's coached me before, right?
Right.
You're like sunshine and rainbows compared. Don't even worry about it.
People say I'm a hothead, but I'm really not.
That's not how it is.
I come from a kitchen where I used to throw shit. Like, I've had chefs threaten to throw knives at me. Like, that's not, whatever. So, like, people think I'm bad here. I'm chilling. I don't talk. You know what I mean?
I think people are misusing the term. I think people are like, you're not afraid to say like how it is if you're prompted to. That's not hothead. That's not even, hothead's like, I make irrational decisions. I would never say, you're more like methodical with how I think you approach a lot of things.
I try. But yeah, it definitely has to be Dean, because if it wasn't for him, like, I would not be doing any of this. Like, for real, for real. I don't think my mentality with food right now would be where it's at, because before this, I was telling him that I was burnt out and I don't want to be in the kitchen anymore. I don't want to deal with food. The fire that I had in my corazon, that spark with food wasn't there. And I think after being here and, being a part of this team and this program, it's definitely ignited that. And I don't say it because it's no one's business, but yeah, definitely.
Think you're going to keep competing after nationals? You have to
Um,
see where you're at after nationals.
I'm thinking about it. This training camp, both training camps have been just a lot for me mentally. So it's like, I don't know if I want to, but if I'm given opportunities where it's like I have to do it, like at least me personally, it's like I have to do it. I gotta do it. Then definitely I'll compete. But right now I'm still on the
fence.
Yeah, I need to get through nationals. I gotta see how
100%.
that goes.
Yeah.
Cause
We'll have you on in a couple months and we'll see how you feel then. How about that?
yeah.
Follow-up questions, right?
Follow-up questions.
All right. Well, that'll do it for me, right?
Yeah, that's.
All right, let's wrap it. How do you wrap this up?
I don't know. Thank you for listening and watching.
Thank you for listening to our first episode of Expo on Excellence. We'll catch you guys next week.